Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to Music Therapy and Reiki for Stressed Business Professionals. I'm your host, Linda Catalan, Executive and Career Acceleration Coach, and you can check me out online at lindacatalan.com. I'm so excited and thrilled today because with us today, joining me is Daiva Paskauskas. And she's going to be speaking on the topic of music therapy and Reiki for stressed career and business professionals. Now, I'm thrilled to be interviewing Daiva today, who's going to share with us what music therapy is, what Reiki is, what it looks like when you combine both music therapy and Reiki, and how music and Reiki can be used and helpful to stressed career, even burnt out career and business professionals. Today we're going to have an excellent session. But before we get started, let me tell you a little bit about Daiva and let me welcome her before I forget to do that. So welcome, Daiva.
Thanks so much for having me, Linda.
It's so great to have you here. So let me just share with the audience a little bit about your bio. Daiva is a certified business therapist and Reiki practitioner.
Certified music therapist.
Oh, thank you for that clarification. Certified music therapist and Reiki practitioner operating Harmonia Music Therapy in Toronto and online. Daiva works with individuals of all ages, abilities, cultural backgrounds, identities, and life experiences through a variety of services. In addition to her music therapy and Reiki qualifications, she also holds a Bachelor of Contemporary Music from Humber College, as well as a Bachelor of Education from the Ontario Institute for Studies in Education. When working with business professionals, Daiva aims to facilitate empowerment, connection to well-being, and relaxation through effective, evidence-based music interventions with the support of Reiki energy. Her clients learn tangible tools to integrate into their daily lives, accessible uses of music, breathing techniques, and meditation to aid in self-care while receiving the benefits of Reiki for deeper healing. Please join me in welcoming Daiva Paskauskas.
Hi. Wow, thanks for that.
Now, Daiva, we're going to dive right into the
Yeah.
questions for our audience. And
Mhm.
so I'm going to start with, what is music therapy?
Yes, great question. A lot of people don't know yet what music therapy is. But first, I want to acknowledge that the idea of music as healing isn't new, and it's been practiced in healing and in ceremony from cultures pretty much all over the world since the beginning of time, particularly indigenous cultures. So I just want to acknowledge that. And music therapy, then, is the evidence based use of music to help clients reach non musical goals. So usually when people hear, "Oh, music therapy, like do you sing to me?" or like do I have to be a good singer? Like it's not about that. It's about using music and the music process to help people reach the goals and help them meet their needs.
So
And so
you
goal
referenced it non-music goals.
yeah,
Yeah.
non-music goals. Yes, so goals focus on what we call like domains of functioning. So it can be the mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, encompassing the whole being, a holistic view. And so that could be, say, for someone like with anxiety or depression, that could be working on their mental health and emotional well being. A lot of us have heard about how those with dementia, they can often sing long after they can talk, or children with autism, how music therapy can be really beneficial as well for developing their social skills and communication skills. But what we often don't think about is like people like you and I, Linda, that we might think, oh, we're not really musical, so I don't know if this is something for me, but it really can be for anybody. You don't need to have that music experience, and if there's something you have a need for help with in your life, music therapy can help.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, I want to hear a little, I want to hear more about
Yeah.
that, but I want to ask first, what, how do you define then Reiki?
Okay. So Reiki Again, I want to acknowledge it originated in Japan in the 1800s, but it's believed to come from the Shinto religion long before that as well. And want to acknowledge that I practice the Usui Reiki lineage. There's different lineages that Reiki practitioners practice. I practice the Usui lineage, and I learned from my teacher, Claire Kenty, here in Toronto. And Reiki is a channeling of a higher source spiritual energy. The idea is that we all have this Reiki energy within us and that we can access it. So, what a Reiki practitioner does is they channel this higher source energy, a spiritual energy. That's what Reiki means, spiritual energy. They channel it typically into their hands for a typical session. The client is lying down, maybe like on a type of massage table, if you can picture that, or they can be seated. And it involves the practitioner placing their hands over areas of the body. And at the beginning of a session, a client can set their intention. They might have something they want to explore. So the Reiki practitioner sets that intention with them. And the intention is that the energy always flows for the highest good. And during sessions or after sessions, clients often report, they might feel heat through their body. They might feel a rush of energy. There might be an emotional release like tears. They might feel deep relaxation. A lot of times we start out and we feel this deep relaxation. And the more experience someone has with Reiki, the deeper that connection and healing can be.
Wow. To me, it's so fascinating. I haven't had any experience with music therapy, but I have had experience with Reiki, and I love it,
Mm-hmm.
especially in times of stress,
Yes.
or I'm going to say, stress for sure, but even times of like conflict,
Mm-hmm.
where, maybe you're going through a period of time where you're trying to make a difficult decision. And I find that it's been really helpful for me to kind of tap into that when I can and get a Reiki session.
Yeah,
But
that's
before we go further, I want to ask you a question because they're similar in a lot of ways, but they're also very different. And so, how did you get into both of these areas?
yeah. So we'll start with music therapy. It's something like I was attending Humber College and finishing my music degree, and I started hearing about music therapy, and I thought this might be a really interesting avenue. But long story short, I ended up going the education route, which wasn't exactly for me. I wanted something just a little different. And just something, music therapy just really always resonated with me. And a few years passed, and eventually I thought, okay, I'm going to pursue this. I was working with an organization called Rainbow Songs, and they do early years toddler and caregiver music classes in Toronto. And they also have a foundation, Rainbow Songs Foundation, that leads these classes in women and children's shelters in Toronto. So
Hmm.
I was doing some of those shelter classes, and I was just really feeling this impact and seeing the joy on the faces and thinking like there's something so much bigger happening here. I have to go back to school. I want to do this. I want to get some formal education in music therapy. Not that that was music therapy, but that was the lead up. So I went back to school and I studied at Acadia University. I got a certificate, and I'll just do some more education here. What's important to note is that a music therapist here in Canada, a certified music therapist, is an MTA, a music therapist accredited. That means they have a minimum bachelor level education in music therapy, which is music therapy, and psychology, that they have completed several practicum placements, a 1,000-hour internship under supervision, and completed a board certification exam. So there's a lot involved in that training process, and we're trained to use music safely and ethically with individuals and the people we work with. So I did that. I was working in long-term care a lot the last few years, and I kind of happened upon Reiki really by accident. I was at an event that my teacher Claire Kenty was leading in the community, and it was a lot of fun. I loved her energy. I had never met her before, but I just thought, oh, like I want to know more about her. So I signed up for her newsletter, and then she emailed out a newsletter a couple weeks after that event, and in it were the offerings for the Reiki trainings. And I didn't even know much about Reiki. I had never experienced it, but I was delving into spirituality and meditation. I was doing a lot of yoga, and I was really into that realm. And my gut was just like, I have to do this. This is for me. I'm going to do this training. I don't know what it's going to lead to, but I know I'm going to do this and I'm going to incorporate it in my music therapy work.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so interesting. I'm always fascinated by how people
Right?
come to their professions,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so um, yeah, it's such a beautiful blend. So let's talk about that blend. Like you
Mm.
actually combine both the music therapy and the Reiki in
Yeah.
your practice. So tell me, what does that look like?
Yeah. And that's where I get really excited. So, because Reiki is energy, it can be channeled via distance. And it can be channeled into, like you said, like you can ask it to channel for a situation, you can channel it into an object or into your food. And so it's this really flexible modality, just like music, right? We all resonate with a certain type of music. There might be something we really like to engage in musically that really interests us. So with combining these two practices, it provides some deeper support. So what I'll often do is I'll channel Reiki into my voice. I might channel it into my guitar. I might channel it into the space around us. If a client can consent to receiving Reiki, I'll, can channel for them into their hands, maybe playing an instrument,
Mm.
or we can set a Reiki intention at the beginning of, say, a music meditation. And going through this meditation, maybe we're vocalizing and singing, and the Reiki is flowing, and it's opening up all these other channels. It's like music therapy is very evidence based, so it's having this evidence-based grounding with this more spiritual practice. And there's more
Mm.
research coming out with Reiki, but to me, I'm like, that the research doesn't really matter. If you feel like it works, it does work
Mhm.
with the Reiki, right? So it's this blending of these two practices that is really
Beautiful.
cool.
Now, like you talk about like evidence base.
Mhm.
So share a little bit more about like the benefits of each of these, or combined, in terms of your experience, or in
Yeah.
terms of what the data shows.
Yeah. Yeah. So music therapy is heavily based on neuroscience and a lot of research in the brain. Music accesses our whole brain, all parts of the brain, and like nothing else really does that.
Hmm.
In research, they're researching these different parts of the brain and what is activated when, what benefits what, and in our bodies, we intrinsically, without even knowing it, we sync to rhythm. Our brains are wired for rhythm and music. They're wired to set to a beat. So, say someone's feeling a lot of stress, their heart rate is up. This could be someone in hospital, or this could be someone having a panic attack, right? Engaging with this breath, and breath is very effective, but when you add music to that, you can add, the music therapist knows, okay, if I start playing something slower, if I engage this person in breathing with a slower beat of music, that's going to work more effectively and slow things down and help the body recuperate. And then there's also the emotional benefits. Music lights up the same areas of the brain as when we feel emotions. So something expressed through music can be easier than expressing it verbally. There are things we can't access verbally. So when we're in a music making experience in music therapy, whether it's singing, playing an instrument, or improvising, or moving to music, it can be easier to express those emotions rather than having to sit and talk about it.
So does that explain why, like sometimes, when you're listening to a song or whatever, it triggers emotions?
Yes, yes, exactly, right? That's that center of the brain lighting up and thinking. And it's also as part of that memory, right? We connect music to memory. And the the memory of music is one of the last things to go for someone who has a
Oh,
cognitive impairment.
interesting.
It's one of the last parts of the brain. That connection to music is one of the last thing that stays there, which is
Oh,
really fascinating.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, I love the way you've kind of combined the two, the evidence base and the energy,
Mhm,
and oh my God, like there's tons of great data where this stuff
mhm,
really works.
mhm.
I mean, actually, it's funny because I have an example. I have a client that I'm working with, a CEO, who does meditation every single morning, and he we evaluated him, evidence-based evaluations, 360, and he scores in like the 96th percentile in a global database. And he attributes his success to meditation and those relaxation practices that he engages in every morning before he starts the day.
Yeah.
So there's definitely lots of wonderful data on that. So tell me a little bit about how this modality or these two modalities can help someone who's either stressed or maybe even facing burnout.
Yeah, so a lot of people working on the front lines or in entrepreneurial settings or in the corporate world, right? Yeah, we're constantly stressed, have a lot on the go. Like it's might be all about their professional life, and then they have things to take care of at home, maybe families and other individuals they take care of. And so the more this piles on, the harder it becomes. So what engaging in this type of session or this type of practice can help someone establish those like preventative measures or explore a self-care ritual or a self-care routine and provide that connection to self that often gets lost in that chaos that a
Mhm.
lot of people search for, especially when they're overwhelmed with work. They might not have something outside of work that might light them up or activate that joy, right? And it can help someone feel good. Like who doesn't want to feel good, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. So,
yeah.
what does a typical session look like then?
Mhm. So it really depends on client needs. I'll talk about that process a little bit. Is we start with an assessment. An assessment might be, it starts with that complimentary phone consultation, talk about what someone's looking for, maybe what they're feeling in their life. But then the initial assessment session could be the first session or two sessions. You might talk about in depth. There's different areas I'll ask the client about, what they're experiencing, how they're feeling. And we talk about music preferences as well. It's really important in a music therapy setting to take account of client preferences of music, right? What they like, what they don't like. So we go through that and then we'll set some goals. What's important in music therapy is that it's goal focused as well.
Mhm.
It's not just music for the sake of music, which is great, but we can also incorporate the goals in there as well. So that's always informing what we're doing. So, a typical session could include, a quick verbal check in. Maybe we're breathing and meditating at the beginning, or maybe the client is feeling a lot of emotions that day and wants to sing and vocalize it out and get it out of their bodies. Or maybe there's a song they really want to listen to and we'll analyze the lyrics of the song. Why this song? Why is it meaningful to you? What does it trigger any memories? What metaphors are in it that metaphor your life maybe? Could also be writing a song. From there, you can go into writing a song, writing your own song to express a feeling. Maybe it's grief. Maybe you want to feel empowerment. Songs can be really helpful vessels for that.
Mhm.
And again, through that whole process, Reiki can be channeled that whole time. It can be kind of a separate thing at the end where the client lies down and receives that relaxation. And it's a lot, depends on the client, right? Where they're at, what they want to explore, what insights they're getting. Because, like I said, the more we experience Reiki, the deeper that connection can be. So, in between sessions, there might be times where this insight comes, or they're developing that connection to that inner voice more, and things are getting activated that they want to explore.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. So, and maybe you could share some success stories, like examples of
Mm-hmm.
people of any age group that you've
Mm-hmm.
worked with, and what some of the benefits were that they received.
Yeah. Well, one most recently, I worked with a client. She wanted to sing and play guitar, and she was someone who was told when she was, a young girl, like never sing because you can't sing.
Oh,
So we did some work around that. It was kind of like a voice coaching type of session to connect to that voice and open it up. And she received some Reiki meditations for like that deeper healing and relaxation. And then we worked on some guitar skills. And and our time ended, but she ended up saying like, I didn't think I could do this. And this non-judgmental space is really helpful to explore these
hmm,
skills. Another fun example is a lot of my work has been in long term care in the last 4 years. So, in those situations, clients can't necessarily consent to receiving that type of energetic, treatment. So, I wouldn't channel directly for somebody, but I'll channel in our space, or I'll channel between our hands. I do this fun intervention where we pretend we're holding a ball of light, and we go, "Whoop, ah." That's usually our warm up. And I'll channel some Reiki in that ball of light, or I'll channel it in the
Oh.
center. And it's so amazing because I just find it creates this oneness, it connects us in this energy. And again, it's just around us, and it's like a sacred circle almost. And it's brought out really, really cool interactions and little moments.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, it sounds amazing. It sounds amazing. Now we had talked about goals before, about having a goal, setting intentions.
Mhm, mhm.
Maybe you can kind of describe some of the goals that people come to the sessions with.
So, say someone is really stressed and they're looking to implement some self care in their life. So this is where talking about some self care strategies and how to implement music meaningfully into their lives outside of session. I
Hmm.
believe we're all musical. We can all sing. We can all keep a beat. And if we have a challenge with that, there's something happening in the brain, right? That we can
Hmm.
heal through a different form of music therapy to help with that, right? But it can be learning those tangible tools to take with them outside of session, whether it's a breathing technique like breathing in for a certain amount of counts and breathing it out. Using different visualizations. We can also make meditation tracks together that they can use outside of session, and just even how to build a meaningful playlist to help them in a certain situation where they might be feeling a little down, they want to bring the energy up, or say at the end of the day they need to use music to bring their energy down so they can go to sleep and have a good night's rest.
Hmm. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. So, do you find that there's kind of like common things that people work on, or
Mhm.
is
It really depends on client
yeah?
needs, and this is still exploring this a little more with clients. So it's kind of a newer approach for me, and it's getting more integrated right now.
Wow, that's so fascinating. It really is. So, well, perhaps then maybe, Diva, you can share with us a little bit for the audience what some of your services are. Like, if somebody wanted to work with you, what
Mhm.
what would a what would your services look like? What's the range
Yeah.
of services available?
Yeah, so yeah, it's a quite a wide range because again, meet a lot of people where they're at and what they need. I offer just the Reiki session, so just a Reiki session. Someone
Hmm.
can book, and Reiki sessions and the music in Reiki. I encourage. I have session packages to begin with because these types of journeys, like it's not just like a one off, a one and
Hmm.
done, like a heal me type situation. It's about activating your own inner healing. So
Hmm.
you really need to commit to that and say, okay, I'm going to do this. This is going to help me. So I'm going to commit to this and invest in myself essentially. So I have beginning Reiki packages as well
Hmm.
as the beginning music and Reiki packages for individuals if they're looking for just individual work. And as well, I offer music therapy sessions, whether it's for adults in the working world, or if people have children. I have a lot of experience with children as well. And I also do, collaborate with facilities and care institutions also, because music therapy is so needed there. So I've done some work there. And yeah.
Wow, it's quite a wide range.
Yeah.
Well,
And,
it's
and
it's it's interesting because I'm sure there's a number of career professionals on the
mm,
call who have experienced stress or burnout at some point in their career.
mm,
And I know for me personally, I went through a really I'm going to call it a very challenging time in my own career, and I was searching for all these different types of release. I guess that is the best way to
yes,
describe
release.
it. Is relaxation, releasing some of these emotions that we all carry with us.
Yes, catharsis.
And my personal experience, of course, with Reiki has been just amazing. And so now I find it is part of my self-care, kind of my ongoing self-care, that when I get to that point where I need that extra relaxation, I'll do it. And meditation is the same way.
Yeah.
And it's interesting you talked about breath work, because Obviously, I'm a novice when it comes to breath work, but it's such a simple thing, and yet a lot of people don't actually have good
Mhm.
breathing techniques,
Yeah,
and it can aggravate your stress level if you're not,
exactly.
if you're not actually doing some
It
deep
will.
breathing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I find even just doing some deep breathing. I have one client I'm working with right now um, who's just high energy, like type A personality, go, go, go. And her breathing is always up high in her chest, right up in her neck. And just trying to get her to, take some deep breaths,
Yeah,
and to be more intentional with her breathing
definitely.
is a challenge in itself.
Mhm.
So really, really appreciate, what you're saying about some of that. I don't, did you want to add to what I
Yeah,
was
I
saying
was
about
just
the
gonna
breath?
say like that breath slows down our whole body, right? It's
Yeah.
slowing down the nervous system and those responses, which, when we're stressed or anxious, it's all elevated, right? So connecting to that breath really slows everything down. And you were mentioning like an emotional release, that outlet, like catharsis is
Yes.
the word that came to me. Like, and music helps us experience catharsis.
Yeah.
And like singing can really help connect to the breath as well.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
it's interesting because it's funny when we get so busy, we forget about some of these everyday tools that are
Yeah.
available for us. And so it's a great reminder that there are, first of all, that there's therapists like you out there to kind of support people, but also that there's just some really simple things that we can start to learn about and incorporate in our day-to-day lives.
Yeah, it's that practice, right? We just gotta remember to do it, and then it's
Yeah.
gonna get easier, right?
And
Yeah.
then it gets easier. Well, it's interesting because when I was going through that, I'm going to call it that midlife crisis for me,
Yeah.
that's when I found hypnosis.
Mm,
And it's been, I'm going to say, a lifesaver for me. I incorporated in my coaching,
yeah.
and it's a wonderful tool as well. And so all of these things is just kind of part of our tool bag, and so important. And different things work for different people, but I know that the audience that's listening here, some of them are probably going through difficult periods, thinking, where can I get some release? Maybe this is something that I should try.
Mhm.
So I'm really happy that you're with us. Diva, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, or visit your website,
Yeah.
where should they go?
They can go to Harmonia, HARMONIA, musictherapy.com. And my email is harmoniamusictherapy@gmail.com.
Cool.
And I'm also like on Instagram and Facebook, Harmonia Music Therapy as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. And I just want to repeat that
Yeah.
information for the audience. It's harmoniamusictherapy.com. Harmonia is spelled HARMONIA, and then musictherapy.com.
Yeah.
And again, email address for Diva is harmoniamusictherapy@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Diva, I want to really thank you for joining us today and sharing your knowledge and experience with respect to music therapy and Reiki, and also how combining the two can really make a difference and really benefit our audience. But before we
Yes.
close out, is there anything that we've missed or any other things that you want to share with the audience before we go?
Well, we can do a little intervention if you like.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd love that.
Yeah, I have my guitar here,
Cool.
and this is like a chant I've learned a long time ago. But it's we're gonna learn it a little bit, and then we can add that therapeutic benefit. Not that this is a music therapy session. This is for the kids. So it goes like this: When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. So in this chant, where it starts with breathing in that peace and breathing out love.
Okay.
You can try it with me if you want.
Yeah, I will.
Here we go.
I don't have a good voice, but I'll try.
And visualize that peace. Ready?
Okay.
When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Yeah.
Oh, I love
Nice
it.
work. So in a session, we'd say, what do you want more of today? Is there anything you want to release in that breath or get rid of? Is there a feeling you want to take in with the breath? Is there anything, Linda?
Well, given that we were talking about stress and relaxation, let's use stress.
Yeah, so we're going to breathe out that stress. What do we want to breathe in? I like to say with that breath and the breathing out, we can transmute the stress. We can change it to something else. So what are we changing it to?
Well, what about relaxation?
Yeah. So we're going to sing, when I breathe in relaxation. We'll see how that works.
Okay.
Timing it out, we can always edit it. And then we're going to breathe out that stress, okay?
Okay.
When I breathe in, I breathe in relaxation. When I breathe out, I breathe out stress. When I breathe in, I breathe in relaxation. When I breathe out, I breathe out stress. Last time. When I breathe in, I breathe in relaxation. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Just take some deep breaths.
Oh, that was wonderful. That was so cool. It's such a great reminder too. It's funny because you've got me inspired and motivated to turn on the music.
Oh, there you go.
That's
Music
wonderful.
as motivator.
That's so good. All right. Well, Daiva, thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Linda. I really appreciate it, and I've had a really good time.
It was wonderful. We learned about music therapy and Reiki and the benefits of combining the two for stressed and busy, burnt out professionals. And so I just want to remind the audience, if you are, stressed, or even if you're not, if you have some other goals that you want to achieve, and we're intrigued by music therapy or Reiki today, then please reach out to Daiva directly. She can be reached again at harmoniamusictherapy@gmail.com, or you can check her out, her website, harmoniamusictherapy.com. Sorry, did I say harmoniamusictherapy@gmail.com?
Yes. Yeah.
And the website is harmoniamusictherapy.com.
Yes.
I want to make sure I got that right.
Mouthful.
So Daiva, thanks so much for providing such wonderful insight. And I also want to just thank the audience. Special thank you to all our listeners for participating here today. This is Linda Catalan and Daiva Paskauskas, just wishing you a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.